Hi, my name is Kevin Thomas, W1DED, and this is Q5 Worldwide Ham Radio. Today, in our CQ Worldwide CW Showdown series, I'm joined by Jon Kimball KL2A, checking in from Puerto Rico as he gets ready for his own CQ Worldwide run from KP4AA. John's been contesting for over 40 years, starting in Alaska alongside Chris KL9A, and he brings a sharp read on the real differences between CT3, EA8, and HK. We'll get his reaction to Jose's CT1BOH's analysis, talk propagation, multipliers, Asia openings from HK, and what KL9A, N6MJ, and E77DX will actually face once the contest starts. The CQ Worldwide Showdown series is supported by ICOM and DX Engineering. John, welcome to Q5.
Thank you.
So where are you? It looks like a great scene, especially since I'm in Maine and it's a little bit frigid out here this morning.
I'm at KP4AA, Kenny Ramirez, QTH. I'm sitting at a swimming pool out here after a first cup of coffee this morning. You probably hear the birds in the background.
I've got to say, this is what my wife likes most about ham radio is going to destinations like that. You know, she's been able to go along to Curacao and St. Lucia with me, and she absolutely loves it.
Yep. Got to go somewhere cool for the ladies, right?
So, John, let's get a little bit of your background first. As I said in the opening, you've been in this hobby for 40 plus years, I think maybe 42 years. How did you get started and why?
Long ago, my grandfather taught me the Morse code. I was 7 years old, and I ended up using his call sign, bootlegging, I guess we did in those days, in the summer times. Finally got my call in 1984 and never looked back.
That's awesome. So did you get into contesting right away, or what did that look like?
You know, I was on 40 meters as a novice. I somehow stumbled into a novice roundup, and that was a time when, like, the local legends up in Alaska were tuning around, and they thought, hey, this kid's got something. So this is what they told me. And they invited me to come check out the radio station, and I went and did a contest. I can't remember if I went for the whole weekend or not the first time, but I was hooked after hanging out with those guys.
And I'm really curious about your intersection with Chris KL9A. How did that happen?
Very similar. However, I had a personal experience. Growing up in Alaska, had a Yagi at 60 feet, work in Europe every night, staying up too late, school the next day. But my parents knew where I was. I was safe in my bedroom in their home, running Europe on 20, 15, waiting for that 10-meter opening and getting real used to those pileups. You get to know them, you know how big they are every day. One day, the pileup wasn't as big. Well, I mean, it was big, and then it disappeared on me, all in the same night. And I thought, well, what in the world? I tuned around, and there's this other KL7 on the air, and it was WL7KY, this guy. That was KL9A's old call sign. It didn't take long to figure out who that guy was. He was real good, and maybe at first I was a little heated. Hey, this guy's taking my pileups. It's my town. Sure enough, he was on the scene and he never left.
So where is home for you now? I presume not Alaska.
I'm in Sun Valley, Idaho. Idaho is kind of the second home for Alaskans. Colorado and Idaho, I chose Sun Valley. I'm a ski bum still.
And tell me about your contesting activity. Obviously, you're in Puerto Rico right now. You're getting ready for a big run in the CQ Worldwide. Where do you normally contest from?
Lately, I have been coming to KP4 for several contests, and we have a station up in the northeastern corner of Washington that we've been building, a friend of mine and I, for the last 5 years. But as most people know, W7 is pretty far away from everything. You go in any direction from W7 and it gets better. So that's why we come out to the Caribbean and play. Oh, Kevin, one other comment on KL9A. I did pick this kid up at high school. I was told to go get this guy and bring him up to the contest station at KL7Y. So I go out to the high school, I pick up this guy, and I drive him out. And we talk the whole way. We talk radio contesting. We've been doing that ever since. Thought you should have that.
So I want to get into the Jose CT1BOH analysis of the CQ Worldwide and the Titan clash between Chris, Dan, and Braco. But first, I really want to get into your own effort down there at KP4AA. What does he have for a station there, Kenny, and what's your plan?
He's got a great little station. He doesn't need a whole lot. He's on a hill. It's a beautiful slope in just about every direction, especially Europe and North America. That's what counts. You can see salt water in those directions. He runs a really tight ship. He's got a background in telecommunications, Every coax is straight. You go in his shack and it is mopped. The floor is polished. All the coax, all the lines coming up to his K3s and his KPA amplifiers are. It's like he worked at Apple. He's got everything straight.
And what's your plan?
Oh, that's a tough one. So last year we did one radio, and I was shooting for 7,500. I got about 6,500. This year, I would like to get as close as I can to 10,000. I'm not in the 13,000 club. I'm not claiming that. So if I can get close to that 10,000, I'll feel like I'm making progress.
And you do that with 2 radios?
We've got 2 radios this time around. We're waiting on some filters right now for the 4020. Anybody that's ever done 2 radios knows you got to get those right. We're real close on that. I can already do it without the big filters that are arriving. We're just going to make it better, and it won't be the station's fault if we don't make 10,000. I think.
So are you running a multi or single op?
I'll do single op high power like the other guys, and I'm considering doing assisted. It's a little bit easier, considering in strategy and on the 55-year-old noggin this time around, and maybe next year we'll go after the non-assisted.
So I'm always impressed with station owners and builders that give up their station to someone else. Tell me about that. Is Kenny just super generous?
Like I've said before, he's the kind of guy you want to have a beer with after antenna work. There's a few of those guys running around, and he's a really great guy. He does have a big smile on his face. He's always joking around with you. But when it's go time, it's go time, and he understands that.
Well, it certainly is a theme this year, and well, I guess it is in past years also, but certainly with the CQ Worldwide Showdown that I've been talking about, we have Braco with Salim at HK1T. We have Chris at CQ9A with Valerie station, and then, of course, Dan at EF8R with Juan's station. So it's super impressive to me. So let's hop into that showdown, because I know you, John, had a lot of really sharp analysis of Jose's comments about the upcoming showdown. Take it from there.
Yeah, thanks. I've operated from those places in the past. I've spent a lot of years traveling around doing this kind of thing, going to just different stations and all through Central America, the West African nations, and here out in the Caribbean, even the Pacific and Asia as well, all through there. And so I've seen those places from sitting in those chairs. It all goes back to the same dream KL9A and I both, I think we share, is the way the propagation is from Alaska. You hear everybody else having fun out there in the world, and eventually you want to go out and be part of that. And there's a lot of different places to go and ways to do it. So I've gone through those spots in the 90s, all through Central America. In the early 2000s, from the West Africa, EA8 CT3, and several years at Papa Juliet 1 Bravo back in the 90s as well. The interesting thing is, I've heard in years past K3 EST pulling ropes at PJ1B that the way the contest was designed was a pendulum that swung from zone 33 to maybe zone 9 and back. Through the 11-year cycle. I talked to Jose about how that works, but I think that's pretty close. This year, I hear a lot of guys saying it's going to be the CT3 side of things. So here you have two big shots, and a bunch of other guys too going out to zone 33. Conditions are definitely different. You're still focusing on Europe and North America for filling the logbooks. The timing on that's going to be different for HK versus CT3. And there's going to be a lot of people in the Caribbean as well. So right in the middle of all these guys, everyone's competing. You got 8 Papa 5 Alpha, V26 Bravo, V47 Tango, lots of KP4s, KP2 Bravo, and the list is pretty long. You go to NG3K, you can see all that, ng3k.com. Braco brings something to the table that's pretty similar to Dan. These guys are molt magicians. I think maybe Braco's got an advantage on that. I think historically, and his history is a little shorter. We've discussed that. Dan and Chris. Dan may have the advantage on mults. I think Chris might say that. I'm just shooting from the hip on that one. but I think the difference is it's not so much. Well, it is going to come down to mulch, and it is going to come down to day two. But these guys are going to come out of the gate swinging, and we're going to see probably some world record hourly rates out of at least out of the zone 33 guys. We know they keep raising the bar every year, and I think we're seeing some evidence of that in their simulators results, right? So I think the biggest hours are going to be a huge uphill climb for Braco and everybody else. I think the guys that are not on the simulators are going to be probably in the rear view mirror, and we're going to have to make all that up throughout the contest. Is that making sense?
It's totally making sense. But there's a theory that Braco is going to be able to maintain a steadier QSO pace throughout the entire contest. Do you ascribe to that?
I think so. I think looking at his rates, you see that. Again, you look at the contrast. KL9A and N6MJ, these guys are animals. It's really fun to listen to. And if you're in the contest, you probably shouldn't be listening to those guys because you're going to lose. But during the contest, the first few hours into Europe and into North America, we're going to see huge rates. How did the heck did they work that many guys? And we're going to be looking at that.
So tell me your feelings about how the playing field is a little bit leveler than what Jose had said for Braco in Colombia.
Well, it goes down to the mults with Braco. We're going to have a ton of cues on the Zone 33 boys. We call them the Americans over there. These stations are huge. There's going to be high band and low band advantages and disadvantages, and we know where the rate is. It's up in the high bands. You could throw 40 into that mix. Braco with his steady QSO rate, he's likely going to be playing catch up on Saturday morning. Give it a couple of hours, but he'll have an opportunity to get a lot of rate that first night. So he could be out in front going into Saturday morning for that first real rally.
What are your thoughts about the Asian influence that will affect Braco?
That part of the world, Zone 7, is far enough west that he's going to have huge JA signals coming in. Not only is he going to be the first HK on with a big signal like that, it's going to really cause a commotion on the bands in that western direction for sure, on 40 and 80. Heck, all the bands, 10, 15, 20, all the way down. And that's going to be quite alluring for him. It's going to fill his logbook, hopefully. I know the JAs, the Japanese have kind of gone down a little bit, but you get an HK on, and I think we're going to see a lot of JAs in his log. That's going to help him. That's going to be distracting in the mornings where he's going to have 20, 15, and 10 start to wake up to Europe, and he's going to have JAs still coming through on 20 and 40 and maybe 80, but certainly into daylight on 40 and 20, he'll have a lot of Asians to work. And then it's when can you put both guns on Europe? He doesn't want to miss that.
So when you say distracting, you're talking about the volume of QSOs that are going to come out of JA and not wanting to leave that behind.
Remember, when you're sitting in the captain's seat, the driver's seat, in a contest like this, you've got you've got a lot of bands to choose from, and making sure which band you're on at the right time and those moves you make, that will make or break your position in a contest. You're going to want to have, I think Braco, I believe I can speak fairly clearly on this. He's going to have Asia coming through on one or two bands big time. And during that time, which is several hours, but towards the tail end of that, he's going to have to make a decision to move to the high bands. That's a crucial moment. He'll feel it. He'll know. I think he'll have eyes on it. He'll think, okay, I can go to 20 now. I can go to 15 now. But 10 might pop at the same time as 15, and these things are fairly crucial.
So, John, there's been also some conversation about fatigue. Obviously, Chris is on his way now. We saw the social media post last night. He's on a plane on his way to Madeira. He's going to be somewhat rested. Valerie's got the station already. Dan and Levi obviously have been setting up the station. It looks like it's gone well. I've checked in with them a couple times, and it seems like that went actually smoother than they had planned. But then you have Braco. He's been climbing towers. He's been online looking for antenna design. I mean, just amazing what he has accomplished, not only from a kind of hands-on standpoint, but just from a problem-solving standpoint. Do you think that mental and physical fatigue is going to impact him during the contest?
Boy, that Braco, he's an animal. That tower climbing guy, I mean, he's in great shape. He's up and coming. He's got momentum. Looking at his results, he's real excited about this contest and this contesting thing. Radio is his life too. I think, yeah, you're going to have some issues. I mean, you know your body. Dan said he's he's got K6JO with him. He's got help. You've got KL9A who's coming in with caviar and champagne, arriving on the scene. And Chris is doing great this year. Good for him. He's working hard to practice. N6MJ, we know he's practicing too. Braco, I don't know if he's got time to practice, if we're going to look at it that way. He's working hard. He's done what I heard somebody say, maybe Chris on your show, he's got 3 stations he's built this year. So that guy's been working real hard. But if anybody's going to give a hard time to N6MJ and KL9A, Braco's got a great shot. And there's some people in the Caribbean between these guys that are going to cause some.
Well, just as perspective, I got a WhatsApp message from him last night that he was ready to do an interview, and it took me 20 minutes to respond to him. By the time I responded, he was already in bed asleep. So, he is wearing himself thin for sure. But I agree, like he's a CrossFit enthusiast, he's an animal, and I'm sure he'll rise to the occasion. One of the other things that's come up, and I think you actually mentioned it in your note, the potential of a solar flare. Talk to me about that.
Oh, well, coming from Alaska, I mean, that's a big deal. That'll shut you all the way down where everybody starts opening up bottles of bourbon, and and then you got 6 empty radios when it finally comes back. I've been there as a kid. It could happen. And then if it does, you still want to have that European and the North American opening. Well, that might shut down the Atlantic for a while for our Zone 33 guys, where Braco will have that north-south thing going during that disturbance. Everyone's going to turn their antennas to HK and the Caribbean. So that would be a great opportunity, I think, for Braco. The Zone 33 guys, of course, will just keep running Europe and hope that stays open. And depends on what time of day it hits. Is it low bands or high bands?
So, John, before we wrap up, are there other things that we should talk about that I missed?
I just got a text from KL9A. He just landed in London, so he's making his way.
That's awesome.
I think we've covered rate, we've covered mults. We know there's a lot. There's going to be so many decisions to make. We've got the ionosphere that may or may not play properly or nicely with us. It's going to be a heck of a ride. This is probably the last year, and that's why we're all out here doing this.
So I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you to do what Jose did. Who do you think wins this contest? Who comes in second? Who comes in third? But also, who are the other players we should be watching? You mentioned some of them before, but give us that list.
Well, again, ng3k.com has a pretty good list. I don't know if everybody shows up on there. I know we're going to do some scoreboard stuff, too. We're going to be on there. That's a great place to go to watch the games. I mean, definitely turn on the radios and work everybody on that list is what I would recommend. The winner's circle, boy, we know who's going to be in the top 10. We're pretty sure. Who's going to be in the top 3? I think we're talking about them. There is going to be an 8P5A. A V26 Bravo low power is not to be trifled with. He's going to do great. I think Chris would say that Dan's got the advantage. I've heard him say that for years. I've been a Chris fan. I mean, I picked the guy up from school, and he's been off to the races ever since. It goes back decades. I'm really rooting for Chris on this one. I'd love to see him bring something home on that. It's going to be an uphill battle for Braco for sure. If we see some disturbances, I do think Braco is going to have some fun with that. I'm going to say let's go with Chris. Let's wish him some good luck. He's got an uphill battle.
Well, thanks. I appreciate allowing me to put you on the spot there. What's your call sign during the contest?
Kilo Papa 4 Alpha Alpha. I'll sign it a lot.
Fantastic. My name is Kevin Thomas, W1DED. This has been Q5 Ham Radio. I've been joined by Jon KL2A. He's going to be on the CQ Worldwide CW contest as K Papa 4 Alpha Alpha. Look for him, watch the online scoreboard, and join in the fun. 73. Thank you, John.
Thank you.